Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the webinar today. We're going to be getting started in just a few minutes' time, so please bear with us as we wait for more people to connect with us for the session today. But we will be starting in just a few minutes' time. So thanks for joining us, and look forward to speaking with you all in just a couple minutes. Okay, great. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the webinar on the Oxford 1+1 MBA. Before we get started, I'm just going to launch a quick poll to make sure that everybody can hear me for this session. So if you wouldn't mind just clicking on the box to let us know that you can hear us, that would be excellent. So just give you a couple minutes for everyone to participate in the poll. Okay, we're up to half participation now, so that's good. Shows a lot of people are paying attention, and so far 100% are saying that they can hear me, which is a good start to a webinar. So okay, great. Seems like no one has an issue hearing us. Hopefully you can all see the screen, so it's fantastic. We will get started with the session now. So yes, thank you for joining us today for the Oxford MBA 1+1 session. My name is Aidan O'Halloran. I am one of the recruitment managers in the team here at Oxford. I'm going to be introducing to you today the Oxford 1+1. So hopefully many of you would have already done a little bit of research and maybe looked into what this program is, but hopefully the session today will give you a bit more of an insight into what the experience is like as a 1+1 student, the purpose for the school in having such a unique program, and how to go about the application process, which of course is a little bit more complicated than a standard MBA application, but is absolutely worth it. So so my role in the recruitment team, I focus on supporting applicants from Asia, but I am quite biased because over the past few years I have been supporting applicants through the 1+1 program. So I do think this is the best program that Oxford offers. It is an incredible program, so apologies if my bias shines through in this session today. But as many of you know, the University of Oxford is this incredible ancient institution with some of the best departments for all of the other subjects outside of business that you can imagine. You know, from computer science to public policy to environmental change, you know, we have some of the best programs in the world taught at some of the best departments in the world here at the University of Oxford. So this is this ancient, prestigious institution with more than 800 years of history, and embedded in this ancient university is this very modern business school. So at the business school, the flagship program of the school is this one-year MBA. And many of you may know that the tradition for MBAs is a 2-year structure, But here in the UK in particular, we have more of a tradition of running 1-year postgraduate programs, which are incredibly intensive master's programs in specialist subject areas. And so that's the tradition that the 1-year MBA comes out of, and it's the part of the reason why here at Oxford, the MBA that we run is a 1-year program. So that, of course, means it's an incredibly intensive experience covering all of the content that you would receive from a 2-year program condensed down into this 1 year. But then that gives you the benefit for those of you who are considering these slightly more spaced out 2-year programs in the US. You could come to Oxford and in 2 years receive 2 degrees, and that is the crux of the 1+1 here at Oxford. So the actual MBA is the flagship program of the business school, which is this incredibly modern, cutting-edge business school here at the heart of the University of Oxford. And as I mentioned before, this school is embedded in the wider university, and the best example of this is the 1+1 program, where we take advantage of the fact that this is a 1-year MBA and combine it with specialist master's degrees from all of the other departments around the University of Oxford. So the business school here is the flagship program is the MBA, and if you go through the 1+1 program, you join the MBA just as any other student would. You are a full member of the MBA business school community. You study that same program like anyone else would. However, you would have already had an MSc from a specialist master's program from one of the other partnering departments previously already in your first year, and then you bring those expertise into the business school, into this MBA community in the second year. And so we're combining 2 programs together and allowing you to tailor this experience here at Oxford. So just to give a very brief overview of the 1+1, it is 2 years, it is 2 degrees. You combine the specialist master's degree that you choose. In a minute, I will list all of the partner programs that we have, but I'm sure many of you may have already seen these on the website. But actually, in reality, if you find any specialist master's degree at Oxford, which is a 1-year taught program that you think is perfect for you, and you want to combine that into a 1+1 and combine it with an MBA in the second year, then you can do this, and you just need to engage with the school, let us know that this is your aim, and even if the program that you are most interested in isn't listed in that the list of partner programs, it may still be possible to build that into a 1+1 for you. So you combine an MSc of your choice, whether it's computer science or public policy or African studies, whatever your passion is, and you combine that with the MBA into a 2-year experience. Now, the 1+1, it's interesting because you do 2 courses. You do your MSc and the MBA, but you are a full member of the business school community right from day 1. So before you even start the MSc, you come and get inducted into the business school. You get your access card, which gives you your free coffee for your first year and second year. You get fully embedded into the business school right at the start, so that you can feel fully part of the first year MBA cohort as well as the second MBA cohort that you'll be part of during the year that you're actually here at the school. And all of the facilities and all of the support networks and many of the extra co-curricular activities that run throughout the MBA are available for you during your first year. So you are a full member of the business school community right at the start, which makes this into more of a 2-year experience, which ties together the 2 years, because although you may be studying, and spending most of your time at the partnering department, you can still come and spend a lot of time here at the business school during your first year to really start taking advantage of being part of this community for the entire 2 years that you're here at Oxford, building this into more of a 2-year comprehensive experience, and that is the 1+1. So in year 1, you deep dive into your MSc, and the point is that you then, you specialize into the subject area that you're most passionate about. Whether this, for example, may be environmental change and management, or whether it's, social science of the internet. You have your specialist subject area that you really care about, that you are passionate about, and you study that in detail. You do your big research project as part of more, the MSc, which is typically more traditionally academic and theoretical when compared to the more practical MBA experience in your second year. And so you take this first year to deep dive into that subject area. You do that research, you map the challenges that come along with that specific subject area, whether it's public policy or environmental change. You really get to know the issues that are affecting society, that you're able to then specialize in research in detail. And then you bring that expertise and you bring that knowledge into the more practical MBA in the second year, and that's when you then do something about it, right? You have this very practical MBA in the second year, which is all about learning leadership skills and practical business management and strategy and analytics and even accounting and marketing, all those core areas of business leadership that you need to know. And you're taking those expertise from your first year, learning the kind of practical leadership skills in the second year, and then doing something about whatever it is that you care about. And that's the reason why the MSc always comes first in the 1+1 structure. That's why you study for the specialist master's degree first, so that you can build those expertise, build that knowledge, really understand the social challenges or whatever it is that you're passionate about. Enjoy that first year, as more of a passion experience, and then bring all of that experience into the MBA and start to then do something about it, whether that's building a business through the entrepreneurship project, whether that's working on a specific career trajectory that you're aiming for and using the MBA and the kind of more careers focused opportunities that you have during the second year in the business school to really pursue that passion and utilize that experience and those specialist skills that you've developed during that first year. So year one, specialist master's degree, deep dive, specialize. Year two, world-class MBA, where you then bring those expertise, share it with your classmates, collaborate with your classmates. You would be seen as the expert in that specific subject area in those classroom discussions, because of course you've just completed a master's degree in that subject area, so you have a lot to contribute to those classroom discussions from that first year, and then you put it into practice and you do something special and you launch yourself into your career. And so that is the structure of the 1+1, and that's why the first year is always the specialist master's degree. And we have a lot of partner programs. The school has been fantastic in building relationships with partnering departments across the university, and we've had a lot of incredible students across all of these subject areas. We have a lot of our 1+1 students who have pursued education or environmental change and management, public policy, African studies, sociology, even one of the new departments which has just joined this year, the MSc in pharmacology, which is now an official 1+1 partnering program. So you can see we have a real wide range of specialist master's degrees that you can combine into this 2-year experience. You can combine into this 1+1 program here at Oxford. But as I did mention at the top there, if there is another specialist master's degree that you are particularly keen on that is not listed here, that doesn't that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't build that into a 1+1 program. And we have had students who have done that in recent years. We even had one of our scholars pursue the MSc in the study of religion in the theology department and combine that into a 1+1 with the MBA, who's actually in the class this year doing the MBA. So it is possible to expand outside of this. You just need to engage with the school and we can support you through that process. But hopefully one of these courses here would be the one that you're interested in. So it's definitely worth researching these, finding out more about the partnering programs, because here in the business school we can really only speak on behalf of the second year part of the experience in the actual MBA program. If you want to find out more about the requirements, if you want to find out more about the experience in the specialist master's degrees programs, then it's definitely worth engaging with the partnering departments directly. You can actually find this list on our website, and that links through to the partnering departments' websites, and most of them will have contact details published there where you can engage with the partnering department directly, as well as with us here at the business school. So a real wide range of partnering programs that you can combine into your 1+1 MBA experience. Okay, so just to, I guess, conclude on the point of the 1+1 and some of the benefits of doing this here at Oxford, you really have the ability to deep dive and get true depth into a specialist subject area by getting a world-class MSc in your chosen field, and then combining that with the true breadth of a world-class MBA covering all those core areas of business leadership that you need to know in order to be an effective business leader in the future. So combining that depth plus breadth here at Oxford is the 1+1. You get 2 world-class Oxford degrees in just 2 years, and this kind of offering is very unique to Oxford. It's not offered anywhere else in the world where you're able to combine such incredible specialist master's degrees with such a world-class MBA and complete these 2 degrees in just 2 years, while having this kind of 2-year comprehensive experience and engaging with the school and being part of the business school throughout the 2 years. You of course have additional time for a career transition. So if you are looking at 1-year programs like the one that's offered here at the school, looking at 1-year MBAs, but you're thinking of making a very ambitious career transition, And the 1+1 may be ideal because you have many of the benefits that you would expect from a more traditional 2-year MBA program, in terms of more time to be working on co-curricular activities and engaging with employers and working with the careers team, and maybe even having a much larger internship between the two courses, like how you would have with a 2-year MBA, where you do an internship between the 2 years. You can do that here as part of the 1+1, while also getting a specialist master's degree in that first year. So additional time for if you have an ambitious career transition, the 1+1 may be ideal for you, as well as really being able to immerse yourself into the Oxford experience. And so here at the business school, we see students have the best year of their lives when they do this 1-year MBA program. And I speak to alumni all around the world all the time, where they say this 1 year at Oxford was the absolute highlight of their lives, and it went by so quickly because it is such an intensive program and there's so much going on around this, that many students arrive here to Oxford, start doing the MBA at the business school, and then come and will often speak to me and say, I wish I had applied to the 1+1 because 1 year is just going to fly by so quickly. And so many of them end up staying here for an additional year, but then they miss the opportunity to combine this into a full 1+1 by doing the MSc first. And so having that opportunity to spend 2 years here and really immerse yourself into the Oxford experience, spending time at the college, at the Oxford Union, everything else that Oxford has to offer, while doing 2 specialist master's degrees and combining them together, is such a unique opportunity. It's also more cost effective than many of the 2-year MBAs around the world, particularly if you're looking at the 2-year MBAs in the US. But largely because many of the specialist master's degrees fees are significantly lower than what a 1-year MBA fee would be. And they range, and this of course depends on the master's degree that you choose. But if you compare the overall cost, if you are self-funding the 1+1, it will still likely be significantly more cost effective than doing a 2-year MBA somewhere like, some of the top US schools, with the added benefit of getting an additional degree in that first year. For those of you who are self-funding though, and you are concerned about the cost of doing 2 years, we have an incredible scholarship available which can fully fund the 1+1 program, tuition fees, college fees, living expenses, everything, which is known as the Pershing Square Scholarship. And that is dedicated solely for the 1+1 and can fully fund the program. So it is cost effective, but we also have an incredible range of scholarships available for the 1+1 program. This one dedicated for the 2 years, as well as, of course, you would still be then fully eligible for the majority of scholarships for the MSc year and for the MBA year. So a lot of opportunities to find scholarship funding for those of you who are going to self-fund this 1+1 experience. So as I mentioned, the Pershing Square Scholarship, and again, I have to admit my bias here because I've been working with the Pershing Square Foundation and the Pershing Square Scholars over the past few years, and I've been able to see how incredible this opportunity is. The scholarship is aimed at people who want to really change the world, and that may sound a little bit ambitious, but in reality, and I can speak from experience, seeing the scholars go through this and go out into the world and really have a significant impact, this really can happen. And so I fully believe in this mission for this scholarship to support students who want to go and create sustainable solutions to world-scale social challenges and really have a significant impact in the world. And so if you are that kind of person, if you're looking to really combine an in-depth study into something, it could be any of these specialist master's degrees, but something like African studies or public policy or environmental change in management or even computer science, if you're looking to become an absolute expert in that subject area and then bring that into the MBA and then use the kind of practical leadership training to then go out into the world and do something important and change society for the better, then there is this incredible scholarship which may be perfect for you. Each year they offer around 5 of these scholarships. However, in the past few years, they have been able to offer 6 because we've had incredible people apply. It fully funds the first year. It fully funds the second year in terms of tuition fees. It fully funds the college fees throughout your experience here at Oxford. And there's also a significant contribution towards living expenses. And this is all funded through an endowed scholarship by the Pershing Square Foundation, who still provides incredible support to the scholars throughout their experience here at Oxford. And that comes in many forms. not just the actual funding, but one excellent example is the mentoring that you receive as a 1+1 Pershing Square Scholar. In my opinion, the mentoring opportunities is far more valuable than this incredibly generous scholarship actually that's offering, because the mentoring gives you this unprecedented access to world leaders, to people who have built organizations that are really changing the world, people that are, if you know anything about the kind of profiles of the mentors, then you will know how important they are. And I significantly recommend you go out and do the research, look into the profiles of the mentors that are, you can find all of their details on our website. You can see their pictures here, but you can see the Pershing Square Advisory Board listed on our website. Research into who they are. They are incredible people who would then be your personal mentor throughout the 2 years here at Oxford. And they open up opportunities to connect with people who will really support you to achieve whatever aims you have for creating this, sustainable solution to world scale challenges. So our scholars have been incredibly lucky to be working with these mentors, and it's something that you would be given the opportunity to engage with while you're here as a 1+1 Pershing Square Scholar. In fact, you tell us which mentor is your preference, and the foundation then goes with the school and requests that they would be your mentor throughout the 2 years, and you have regular phone calls and meetings with them in person, or while they're here visiting for things like the Scholar World Forum, or while you're visiting the US or wherever they may be based. You're able to engage with them and really utilize their guidance for inspiration, for practical advice, and for connections to enable you to then have this incredible platform to really make an impact in the world. So the Pershing Square Scholarship is an incredible opportunity which is dedicated solely for the 1+1 here at Oxford. The mentoring is incredible. As I mentioned, the Pershing Square Foundation still support the scholars throughout their experience. They in fact host the scholars over in the US, in New York, as a part of the scholar experience for what is known as the Pershing Square Trek, where you go and visit all of the organizations that they fund that are creating incredible change in the world, whether that's the Innocence Project or Echoing Green or the 1 Acre Fund, all of these incredible organizations that have a collaboration with the foundation. You're able to go there as a scholar and spend time with the founders, spend time with the senior leadership team of these organizations, find out how they work, get that inspiration, and it's a great opportunity for you to then network as well for potential future career opportunities. So you also get to spend time with the very generous man who supports the scholarship, Mr. Bill Ackman, who initiated the scholarship, who funds the program, who is very supportive and even spends time with the scholars while they're there over there in the US. So incredible support from the foundation, a very generous scholarship package, mentoring like you could never imagine, all offered exclusively for 1+1 students here at the University of Oxford. So if you'd like to find out more about the Pershing Square Scholarship, definitely engage with us after the session. You can find out more information on the website. You can see the profiles of previous scholars and the kind of people who have been chosen in the past. And it's definitely something to consider if you are applying to the 1+1 here at Oxford. As I mentioned, that's something that I'm quite biased on, given my experience working with these students over the past few years and how inspiring they are. So it's definitely something that I would recommend looking into. So as I mentioned, while you're here at Oxford on the 1+1, you're able to really make the most of the full Oxford experience. Of course, studying for the MBA here, you are a full member of an Oxford college, and that's exactly the same for the 1+1. You would be a full membership to an Oxford college. This would include your first year and your second year, and the majority of students will stay in the same college for both years. You of course are able to stay in college accommodation if that's what you prefer, or you can stay in private accommodation. I know some of our 1+1 students have stayed in college accommodation for their first year to really make the most of that experience and to get to know their classmates and to build that community, and then moved into private accommodation in their second year, which is maybe perhaps slightly closer to the business school. But really, whatever your preference is, you're able to do to really engage with the school, to be spending time with the, at the formal dinners in your college, attending the university balls, going to the Oxford Union for debates, attending all of the distinguished speaker events, all of these incredible activities and opportunities that come with being an Oxford student, that MBAs usually only have 1 year of this, that is often the highlights that they will speak about for the rest of their life. Whereas if you pursue the 1+1, you're able to do this for 2 years and really engage with that. So definitely one of the benefits of doing the 1+1 is having more time to experience everything Oxford has to offer. So in order to be admitted into the 1+1, you would need to fulfill the requirements for both programs individually. So you would need to meet the application requirements for the MBA like any other MBA applicant. So of course you can see the standard requirements that are listed that I'm sure many of you have already seen, a good undergraduate degree, some interesting professional experience, a GMAT or a GRE score, which are perfectly equal, whichever one you prefer. In fact, the majority of 1+1s take the GRE. Often it's more widely accepted by specialist master's degrees. However, many of them will also consider the GMAT. So whichever one you prefer, you can take, as well as getting references and writing the essays and applying to the 1+1. When you do apply to the 1+1, there is an additional essay where in the business school, we ask you to explain more about why you're combining these two courses together. And there is one additional essay as well if you're aiming for the Pershing Square Scholarship, where the topic is quite simply asking you how you intend to change the world. All of them are quite short word counts, which is quite difficult to then condense everything I'm sure you have to write. If you're very passionate about whatever it is you want to do, condensing that down into just 500 words or 250 words for our essays, but that's part of the standard MBA application requirement. It's definitely worth also then researching and investigating the requirements for the specialist master's degrees of your choice. We aren't able to speak on behalf of the partnering departments here. We can only really speak and advise on behalf of the business school and the MBA admissions requirements. All of the partnering programs will be looking for different things based on their expectations of students that are going to pursue their MSCs, whether it's, for example, the MSc in computer science, where they're looking for, very strong quant backgrounds in their applicants, someone who studied maths or computer science even in their undergrad, or maybe some of the other subjects where they're slightly more flexible in terms of what you had needed to study before you apply. Some of them are some of the partnering departments are very clear on the GPA requirements for applicants, something like public policy, where I believe on their website they publish that you would need to have around a 3.7 GPA or higher, whereas some of the others are slightly more holistic in their admissions approach. Every partnering department will have their own admissions requirements, and you would need to research that in detail and meet those requirements as well as the business school requirements. It's interesting because we keep the applications separate. And now this is actually, it may seem like a bit of an additional challenge having to submit 2 individual applications, but in reality, this is a real benefit, because then if you are admitted into one course but not the other, say for example you are admitted into the MBA and you receive a full offer for the MBA but you are rejected by the MSc, you can then still come and join the MBA this year, and it wouldn't be influenced by the MSc department. That's assuming you receive a full offer for the MBA from our admissions team, and through you go through the admissions process as standard, and then you're able to join the MBA, and it wouldn't be limited by the MSc. If you, for example, are accepted into the MSc but not the MBA, then by all means you could still then take that MSc offer. It wouldn't be affected by being rejected by the MBA portion of your application, and then you could even then reapply for the MBA during your MSc year if that's what you choose to do. So it is 2 separate applications through 2 separate application portals that are on the website. So you would first of all select the MSc that you're interested in, do the research, find out what they're looking for, find out about the course content. If you find one that is perfect for you, then check those admissions requirements and submit an application to the MSc by their relevant deadline. And their deadline may differ to the MBA deadline. So it's really important to keep this in mind, that the MSc application deadline may well and often is different to the MBA deadline, and you would need to meet both of these deadlines individually. So you go through that process at the same time as going through the MBA admissions process, finding the requirements out, taking the GMAT or the GRE if you need to, applying by that stage deadline, having your MBA interview, because of course every MBA applicant would, if you were invited, then you would need to have an interview before you're given an offer. This is not always the case for the MSCs. Some of them would not require an interview, some of them do. It depends on the one that you've chosen, but of course it is always required for the MBA. And then in an ideal world, you would then receive both the MSc offer and the MBA offer. And at that point, once you've received both offers and you're an incredible person who's been accepted into 2 programs at the best university in the world in the same year, you then become a 1+1 MBA student, and you come and join the program. You start with the MSc, you do the MBA in the second year, and you have this 2-year 1+1 experience. But as I said, it is 2 applications. They are separate and with separate deadlines. So I've just listed them here. So it's good to take note of this, that the next deadline coming up for the MBA is on the 2nd of November, and the MSCs, some of them will have a 16th of November deadline. However, not all of them will. Some of them will just have a January application deadline. So for the MSCs, the majority of applicants will apply in that January deadline, which is often on the 25th of January. However, some of the departments will have a slightly earlier January deadline. So again, it's really good to do your research, find out the specific application deadlines for the MSc that you've chosen, and ensure that you submit by their required deadlines. For the MBA, we have application deadlines in November, we have the 11th of January, and then we have the 5th of April. It's really important here to note that if you're aiming to be considered for the Pershing Square Scholarship, then you would need to have submitted your applications by the January deadlines. So this, for the MSc and for the MBA, you would need to have submitted both applications by that January deadline in order to be considered for the Pershing Square Scholarship. You don't have to submit in the same deadline for both programs. So for example, if you have already submitted your MBA application and perhaps you've already received an offer, then that's fantastic. This means you can still apply to the 1+1. You still can be a 1+1 student even if you apply to the MSc in the January deadline. You just need to ensure you let us know, and it's something that we can work with you on. So you don't need to apply in the same deadline, but if you're aiming for the scholarship, then it's January at the latest for both programs. So many of you may be preparing your MBA application now, aiming for the stage 2 deadline on the 2nd of November, which is fantastic. And if you want to just focus on the MBA application for now, then that's great. And then after you've submitted, then move on to focusing on the MSc application, aiming for the January deadline. That's absolutely fine. But keep in mind, separate deadlines, separate application deadlines for separate applications in different portals where you apply and then hopefully would receive both offers and become a 1+1 student. The scholarship application process then, so as I mentioned, there is that essay for the Pershing Square Scholarship, which is included in the MBA portion of your application. So once you start that MBA application, just make sure you tick 1+1 at the start, and it will give you the opportunity to upload that essay on how you intend to change the world. And then once you receive both offers, that's when the process kicks in for being considered for the scholarship, which often happens around March of the 2019 if you're aiming for next year. To be then considered for the scholarship. The scholarship does have an additional interview, which is usually with the dean of the business school and the MBA director, and perhaps also the associate dean. So a panel of senior representatives from the business school having a discussion with you after you've gone through the application process for both courses to then decide whether you receive the Pershing Square Scholarship. So the next steps, as I said, it can seem as quite a daunting, complicated process to apply for the 1+1, but it is absolutely worth it given the incredible program, given the incredible scholarship opportunities. So if you need more guidance, then just engage with us here at the school. You can download our brochures. You can visit if you have the opportunity. We actually have an open day next Friday, I believe. So if you're able to visit the UK, you can just come over, come for the open day, come and speak to us here at the school. I'll be here to give more details on the 1+1, and then start your application. And if you have any questions, you can email us. You can find the contact details for the recruitment team on the website. So get in touch with us directly, and we'll be happy to guide you through the application process for the 1+1. As I said, we can give a lot of useful guidance in your MBA portion of your application, but for the MSc portion, you definitely want to engage with the schools, with the departments that you're aiming for, engage with the students who have studied at that department in the past to find out what they're looking for, because it's quite likely to be different to what the business school is looking for. So just to leave you with a little quote from the dean, the 1+1 is absolutely at the heart of what the dean is trying to do here at the school, and I think is just an excellent example of students who are really going to impact and transform society through making the most of this incredible university that this business school is embedded in. And as I said, the 1+1 is the best example of how embedded this business school is in the wider university, by actually combining the flagship program of the school with all of these incredible master's programs and enabling you to make the most of those other departments, build those expertise, and then bring that into the MBA community and share that with the classmates, which enriches the entire experience here. So the 1+1 is close to the heart of the dean and and the kind of students that do the 1+1 often shine in those MBA classroom discussions, not just because they've had the additional year to get used to the Oxford experience and often are quite popular when everyone else arrives for the MBA and you've already spent a year here, but also because of those expertise that you're able to draw upon in those classroom discussions from your specialist master's degree year. So engage with the school. If you want to find out more, you can get in touch with us. But for now, if you have any questions, please do post them into the questions box. I will answer as many as we can. What we'll do now is we'll just mute the mic for a few minutes, organize the questions, and then we'll come back on air and start answering them for you. So if you do have any questions, please do post them into the box here and we'll be happy to answer them for you here. So do post your questions and we'll be back with you in just a couple minutes to start answering them for you. But for now, thank you for attending the session. Okay, so we're getting some great questions coming through. So one from Trevor asking about the minimum undergraduate GPA requirements for the 1+1 and for the scholarship and for the MBA. So I think this is a great question because it really is a good opportunity to give more details about exactly what we're looking for. So when it comes to the Pershing Square Scholarship, the most important thing is your character and your ability and your commitment to really having a significant impact on society in whichever area you choose. So that fit for that mission is the most important thing for the scholarship, and that's often identified through the interview process. So that's the most important thing for the scholarship, not so much hard minimum GPA requirements. That's not so important when compared with the overall fit for the mission for that scholarship in particular. For the MBA as well, we have a really good holistic admissions process here where we take into account all aspects of your application. That will include your GPA, but it will also include your GMAT. It will also include your professional experience and the references and the essays. Everything is taken into account. So it's absolutely possible to compensate for a lower GPA with a very impressive GMAT score, or some incredible professional experience. So absolutely, we have a fantastic admissions process here where we don't have this extremely strict hard minimum GPA or even GMAT or GRE for that fact. So we have a really good holistic admissions process here. Of course, it helps to be competitive to have the best scores you can get, and if you do have a lower GPA, then it's good to try to get a higher GMAT or GRE to compensate for that. But we don't have these hard minimums where you would be excluded if you have, for example, a lower GPA. And that, again, is speaking on behalf of the business school. Some of the other departments are much more clear about the minimum GPA requirements, and they have, I guess you could argue, a slightly less holistic admissions approach when compared to the business school, because we are looking for different things. And so for us, absolutely, if you have a lower GPA, you can still apply, you can still get admitted, and you could still get the scholarship. For the partnering departments, that may be a different case, and it's worth researching that and engaging with the departments to try to find out that for sure. And so GMAT and GRE are equally accepted here at the school. Take whichever one you think you'll do better in. And again, we don't have these hard minimum scores. You can see the average scores. You can see what we usually recommend to be competitive. But I just to emphasize this again, when it comes to the scholarship, the most important factor is that that passion for really having a significant impact on society and changing the world for the better. That is the most important factor. Okay, so we'll just take a couple more minutes to look through some more questions, and we'll be back with you to answer some more in just a second. Okay, so we have another fantastic question from Michelle, who is asking whether the applications for the MSc and the MBA need to complement each other, whether the partnering departments will have access to the MBA application? It's a really good question. So the answer is no. The applications are considered independently. So the partnering department, the MSc that you've chosen, will not have access to the MBA application. They will not have access to your essay. So don't assume that they have already, reviewed that and know in detail what you've written in the application towards the MBA. And it's definitely worthwhile tailoring your applications to the MSc that you've chosen, because keeping in mind they may be looking for something quite different to what the MBA is looking for, particularly if it's one of the more theoretical MSCs. So the answer is no, that they don't. They don't have access, and so it's definitely worth trying to keep a clear, I guess, trajectory in mind as you're applying to both programs. But that being said, tailor your MSc application to what that department is looking for. They will not have access to the MBA portion of the application, so really tailor it to the kind of things that they're looking for. Okay, great. We'll just keep looking through the questions here. So we've had an interesting question here, and we have quite a few of these every year. It's interesting because many of the specialist master's degrees usually recruit slightly more junior students for those programs. So people who have less professional experience, sometimes no professional experience, and are going to those master's degrees straight out of finishing their undergrad. It's important to note that you are still applying to an MBA program here, and you will be like any other MBA student, which means you need to contribute to those classroom discussions based on your real world experience. That being said, MBAs who have done the 1+1 in the past have had less than 2 years experience in some cases. Every application is considered individually on its own merit. And so if you do have less than 2 years experience, but you're applying to an MSc in computer science or whatever it may be, and you're perfect for that course, and you think, actually, no, you really want to combine that with the MBA, and you feel as though even though you may have limited professional experience, the quality of the experience that you have means you have a lot to contribute, and you would feel confident and comfortable in an MBA environment, then by all means still apply. And like I said, we have had 1+1 students in the past who have had slightly less than the 2 years experience who have still been admitted into the program. So it's good to keep that in mind, but still bearing in mind that this is an MBA classroom, and so you will be bringing your real world experience into those classroom discussions, and so you need to feel confident to do so before considering applying for this program. Okay, so we'll keep going with the questions here. Okay, so we're having quite a few questions come through regarding scholarships, which is definitely worth taking a moment to discuss here. You'll see that the majority of MBA students here at the business school are international. In fact, we have, I think it's 62 nationalities in the class this year. And you'll find most of the partnering departments, most of the master's programs at Oxford are also incredibly international. In fact, I think even the Master in Public Policy is even more international than the Business School MBA. So students coming from all over the world. I mentioned that we have an incredibly generous scholarship offering here at the school, and many of the students who receive that are international students. So if you are applying as an international student, yes, absolutely, you'll be eligible for these scholarships. The Pershing Square Scholarship is often allocated to students from all over the world. In fact, we have this year we have an American, we have an Argentinian, we have a Brazilian, we have students from, just off the top of my head, students from all around the world receiving the scholarships. So yes, by all means, international students are eligible for the scholarships. And yes, it does require 2 individual applications. So you have to apply to the MSc and apply to the MBA separately. So this does mean that you are required to pay the small application fees for the MSc and for the MBA individually. You do need to pay each one if you decide to apply. And then that is not waived because you are applying as a 1+1. You are still applying like a normal applicant, so you are required to pay those application fees for each program individually. Okay, so we have quite a few more just come through, so we'll just take a few minutes and read through those and be back with you soon. So you can find details of our upcoming events, whether that's an open day here on campus or an information session around the world, all on our website. We list all of our upcoming events on the website, so it's definitely worth keeping an eye on that. And as I said, there's an open day coming up next Friday, so if you're able to come and visit the school, it's a great opportunity to really find out more about the mission of the school, find out about what it's like to study here, experience a class, speak to current students, and really enjoy everything Oxford has to offer. So keep an eye for our upcoming events and do come and visit the school for the open days. You can find them listed on our website. Okay, another interesting question about the scholarship. So, can you combine the Pershing Square Scholarship with another scholarship from another organization? So yes, if you're studying here at Oxford and you're admitted into the 1+1 and you receive the Pershing Square Scholarship, but you also receive another incredibly prestigious scholarship, then by all means you can do that. You can combine the 2 scholarships together, and although the Pershing Square Scholarship is a full scholarship, you would need to then the other scholarship that you receive would then mean that full scholarship would be reduced down so that you still only receive 100% of the tuition fee and college fees when you then apply for that scholarship. And just a quick point on the open days, you do need to register for the open days, so do go onto the website. You'll see the details there. Sign up for a place. I think there are still a few places left, but they may be full. So if you are interested in coming visiting the school, then it's worth hopping on the website now and registering for a place at the upcoming open days, because you do need to get a ticket before you can come and attend. So it's worth doing that. Okay. So just a quick point on age restrictions for applicants. We do not have age restrictions for applicants. You can apply even if you feel as though you are more senior in your career, but you think the 1+1 program is perfect for you, then by all means apply. We have a real range of ages studying in the 1+1 program and in the MBA. It's usually around 28, 29, 30, around that point, but that is around the average. We have students who are more senior and some who are younger doing the program. Like I said, we will judge every application individually based on its merit, and we will not have any discrimination based on age or anything like that. Just a quick question on the English language requirements. So if you have studied and received a degree that was taught in English, then it can be possible to waive the IELTS requirement. You would just need to have either your degree transcript mentioning that your degree was taught in English, or a letter from the institution mentioning that the degree was taught in English, and then it can be waived. So it's something, if you want to find out more about, you can send us your transcript and speak to us here in the recruitment and admissions team, and we can let you know whether it's possible to waive that requirement. But that is certainly something that can be done for the business school. Again, we cannot speak on behalf of the partnering departments, but I do know that many also share that view that it can be waived, and it's something that's definitely worth investigating if you have a degree taught in English, if you don't have the time, for example, to take the IELTS or the TOEFL. So another great question here about the experience of a 1+1 student. So um, once you start the program on day one, you come to the business school and you are inducted here, which means you get your access card and you can come and spend as much time here as you like. We have had many 1+1 students who, during their first year, although they are studying for an MSc in one of the other departments and they are officially, part of that other department, they enjoy the business school facilities so much because, of course, it is an incredibly new, nice, modern building here, that they will spend most of their time in the business school library or in the common room here, doing their research, writing their thesis for their MSc, and just spending time here at the school. So much so that that MBA cohort from that first year assume that they're just part of that program, and it's a great opportunity to network with two MBA cohorts, the one during the first year and as well during the MBA when you're actually here doing the program. So you are a full member of the business school community from day one, although you then, of course, have your partnering department, which you are studying at during that first year before you come to the MBA in the second year. But throughout the 2 years, you are more than welcome here at the school. Yeah. So if you'd like to find out more about all of the other scholarships that are offered by the school, and as I mentioned, we do have a lot of them, which you will of course be eligible for. Even if you apply as a 1+1 and you do the MSc first, then you're still considered for all of the generous scholarships offered for the MBA year. Then we actually recently did a scholarships webinar, and the webinar recording for this and for the previous webinars can be found online and will be shared out via email. So if you want to find out more about that, it's definitely looking for that recent webinar that was hosted here at the school on the scholarships. Okay, great. So thank you so much for asking so many questions here. I will continue to answer them in the questions box. So I will type the answers back to you individually. So do stay on if you want to speak to us about that. But for now, we'll end the webinar. But thank you so much for spending time with us here today. And if you do have questions, keep posting them. We'll keep answering them in the questions box. But for me, Aidan, thank you so much for being here. And we look forward to seeing you all here in Oxford in the near future. Thank you very much.